Hi and welcome to this breathing tutorial for pregnancy. You can do this at any stage of your pregnancy. It's just about creating a balanced breath. We are going to be lying on our back though, so if this is uncomfortable for you at any stage of pregnancy, you can do it in a seated position. The same principles still apply. We're going to go through 4 different breathing exercises to address different parts of the core. Remember, you've got the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, and the abdominal muscles that wrap around all of that kind of stuff. So lying on our backs, first exercise is just about awareness. We're going to show you my belly, lucky you, and we're going to bring the breath into that belly and into our lower rib cage. So put one hand on your tummy, one hand on your lower rib cage, and you take a few breaths in. So breathing into that tummy, but also feeling that lower rib cage expand, and then breathing out and just letting it drop back down. You don't have to pull your tummy in. It should expand with the in-breath, and then on the out-breath, it should relax back down. Your tummy shouldn't go hard. It should still stay soft during the out-breath. So see that a couple more times, breathing into the lower rib cage and into the belly, and then exhaling and allowing them to come back down and in. This is to prevent chest breathing. A lot of us suck our tummies in all the time and then breathe up into our chest. So we want to start by bringing the breath into that lower part of the core canister. The second part of this, you're going to take your fingers and just tuck them underneath the rib cage. So ideally the muscles are going to be very soft there, and you're going to be able to get some purchase underneath, get your fingers tucked underneath that rib cage. We're going to do the same breath that we did before into the belly and the lower rib cage, but now what you're hopefully going to feel is that the diaphragm is going to come down on that exhale and push your fingers out from underneath your rib cage, okay, pushing your abdominal organs south, the belly expands, and then as you breathe out again, the tummy's going to come in and the diaphragm's going to relax back up. So let's just practice that a couple of times. Taking a nice big breath into the belly, fingers underneath the rib cage. Fingers get pushed down as the belly expands, and then as you breathe out, belly comes back in and the fingers go back underneath the rib cage. I'm going to show you that from closer up. Okay, so from here, I'm going to show you how I can tuck my fingers under my rib cage. As I breathe in with me. You should feel your fingers get pushed out from underneath the rib cage and your belly expands. And then as you breathe out, the fingers go back underneath that rib cage. The belly's still nice and soft and jelly-like. And then the diaphragm goes back up underneath the rib cage, okay? What some of you might do, this is really, really common, is breathe into the belly. And then as you breathe out, people tend to breathe out with their diaphragm, pushing their diaphragm down. And this is really unnecessary. We want to breathe in, diaphragm comes down, belly comes out, and then as we breathe out, diaphragm goes back in and up. Okay, so the third exercise we're going to do is exactly the same as the second, but we're just going to add a little pelvic tilt at the end, okay? So I've got a little arch in my lower back, it's not touching the floor, and I'm just going to tuck my pelvis, pressing my lower back into the floor, okay? And then I'm going to release it. I don't want you to do core exercises like this. This is just one specific example of something that we can do to practice moving the lower part of this system without moving the upper part of this system. So it's just one exercise. So breathing into, get those fingers underneath the ribcage, other hand on your belly, nice big breath into the belly, into the pelvic floor, diaphragm comes down, fingers come out, and then as you breathe out, you're just going to let everything come back up and in, let the fingers go up underneath the rib cage. Then at the end of the breath, you're going to tuck your pelvis. And the diaphragm's going to continue going up into the rib cage. You don't want the diaphragm to come down as you tuck the pelvis. Okay, so let's try that a couple more times. So breathing into the belly, fingers come down, diaphragm comes down, and then breathing out, relaxing the belly back down, relaxing the diaphragm back up, and then a little pelvic tilt at the end. Release the pelvis. Nice big breath into the belly, Then relax the belly down. Fingers go up into that rib cage and just a little tuck of the pelvis at the end of the out breath. Okay, fourth and final exercise. I want you to come up into this squatting position. You're going to get your elbows in between your knees and you want to get your feet flat on the floor. If you can't do this, you need to do the mobility program. This is really going to help you get into this position. And if you need to, hold on to something so that you can support yourself in this position and feel quite comfortable. So feet flat on the floor, elbows in between the knees. And what we're going to do is that same breath into the tummy. But this time I want you to feel the breath go into your pelvic floor. And then you're going to breathe out and feel the tummy come in and the pelvic floor come in too. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Breathe into the belly and into the pelvic floor. See if you can feel that pelvic floor stretch out and feel the belly press out against your thighs. And then as you breathe out, so it all relax, pelvic floor comes back up and in, belly comes back up and in. And the purpose of that is to not just, we're going to have a chapter on Kegels and on strengthening the pelvic floor, but you also need to know how to relax the pelvic floor. You need to know how to find them through the breath. And you also don't just want to be doing Kegels like contracting the muscles here. You also want to breathe into the muscles, relax the muscles down, and then allow them to recoil back to their resting position, okay? So we need that full range of motion through the pelvic floor. We need to be able to contract them to keep them strong, but we also need to be able to relax them. Remember, if you are going to have a vaginal birth, you're going to need to push an actual human through those muscles, through the hole in those muscles. So you do actually need to know how to locate them and how to relax them. Okay, so those are the 4 exercises that you need to know for connecting to your core and pelvic floor through the breath during pregnancy. Don't worry about perfecting this at this stage. We're going to work on this for a minute or 2 at the beginning of every single core exercise throughout your pregnancy. So you're going to get lots and lots of practice without it getting too annoying and, you know, doing it for like 10 minutes at a time. So I hope you found this informative. I understand sometimes we can pick up some pretty funky breathing habits throughout the years. So if you're struggling with this, feel free to reach out to me through the Facebook group. I know it might not seem like the most important thing, but breathing exercises are so important during pregnancy, during birth, and also during the postpartum period. So really nail this now and you'll have such a base for everything that is to come.